Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the artificial intelligence do all the work, and increase conversions by 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to Pathmonk Presents. Thanks for joining us today, and we're really excited to speak to our guest, Matt Akins over at Snap Supplements. Matt, how you doing today?
Hey, good. How are you, Kevin?
Doing quite well. Thanks for hopping on the show. So, I'm really interested in learning about what you guys are doing on the marketing side of things over at Snap. But to get started, I wanted to start things out with a little bit of a nice intro question, a nice easy one. Why don't you tell us in your own words, what's the company all about and what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, so Snap Supplements was founded a few years ago by a group of immigrant friends who came to America and suddenly found that their health wasn't as good because of the food. So what's interesting is they work together to create different formulations of supplements to promote holistic health using natural ingredients. And that's kind of was the genesis of the company.
Oh, that's pretty good. As someone who kind of moved from the States over to Europe, I can
Yeah, you
definitely
know the
agree.
difference.
My body definitely feels a little bit better eating the food over here than back home. So why don't you tell us, in terms of who you guys serve, who are the clients, who do you help? What are some of the problems that you're solving for the primary people that are buying from Snap Supplements?
Yeah, we like to solve a lot of chronic conditions, help treat those conditions in a more natural way. One of our biggest sellers is a prostate health formulation that uses herbs like saw palmetto to help men of a certain age, improve their prostate health, solve things like frequent urination, and just promote overall well-being.
And it looks like you guys have a whole bunch of products on there. So you definitely have some best sellers, but it seems like you guys have supplements that help across like a wide range of different issues. Is that right?
Yes, another big one is using beetroot powder um, to help promote healthy blood pressure levels. So that's another big problem we're solving. So those are kind of our two biggest things right now, as well as nitric oxide boosting, a boosting supplement. So that
Hmm.
helps with overall blood flow. It's a vasodilator, so it helps open up your blood vessels, which can help with things like working out and sexual function too. So those are kind of the three big things we're solving right now, and I'm sure there's more on the way.
Nice. So moving on to the next question, how does the audience typically find out about you? Like, what are some of the top acquisition channels that you guys are working on at the moment?
A huge one for us has been TikTok Shop. So we have a team here. They're really incredible. They're all 20 somethings, and they've really pushed this product on TikTok Shop. In particular, the prostate health product has really blown up in the last few months. We're in like the regularly in the top 10 of TikTok Shop health category, which is the biggest category on there. So I think that's like the coolest thing going on right now here. And it's just a really fun acquisition channel because it's all through video content on TikTok.
Mm. And I know as one of the people that's kind of managing some of those social paid campaigns, what are you seeing in terms of, audience targeting or audience response and the type of ROAS that you guys are getting? Like, I'm sure it's kind of like exciting working not just on the traditional like Google ads or Facebook ads, but getting into some of these newer marketplaces like TikTok, like must be kind of exciting, right?
It is, and it's cool to be on the inside of one of the most successful brands right now on TikTok Shop.
Mm.
Um, it's really interesting how ad management is done on TikTok versus Meta. So that's been really fascinating for me as a marketer to see that. On TikTok Shop, we have 500 to 700 pieces of organic content coming in each day for this brand. So of that, it's cool to see which ones actually generate revenue. And then we're putting ad dollars behind that to boost those videos, those organic videos. And I've been brought in to do media buying specifically on Meta. So what I'm really trying to solve now is how do we bridge that gap? The success we're seeing on TikTok Shop, how do we build up our Meta ad platform to kind of rival that? It's kind of like an internal battle here between these
Yeah, how do you
platforms.
translate the success from one platform over to another? I always find that interesting because,
Yeah.
at least in my experience within digital marketing and paid advertising, especially, we see that different, let's say, audiences of different ages typically gravitate towards other platforms, right? So we'll see like a certain age group on TikTok, a different age group on Meta, a different age group on Instagram, or something like that. So although we want to see like the success translate from one platform over to the other as well, I'm wondering if like maybe that does or does not happen based simply because of the audience that are on each one. Is that something that you guys have seen so far?
Yeah, so a lot of my preconceptions have been shattered. One thing is I would have probably assumed TikTok Shop is a younger crowd,
Mm.
right? The young
That's what I would have
people.
assumed as well. Yeah.
But our best-selling product is a prostate health product. And so I don't know many 20-year-olds worried about their prostate. And actually, a lot of our affiliates are men of a certain age as well. So it's very fascinating to see that TikTok has really gone so mainstream. But where I do see the difference is just in the content style. So TikTok has a certain bombastic, loud style that doesn't necessarily translate to meta advertising. So what's
Mm.
interesting is taking what's working on there and how do we translate it to be more of a native experience on that meta platform. So that's something I've been thinking a lot about.
Very interesting.
And
Yeah, making sure that the messaging is delivered in a way that's more accepted. That's really interesting. It's kind of like the delivery needs to be handled in a certain way based on the platform that you're working on.
Exactly, yeah. And what's cool about working with affiliates is they all have diverse perspectives. They can think of marketing angles maybe us monkeys at our keyboards wouldn't be thinking of.
Sure.
So that really opens up some new perspectives and things that we can test on different platforms.
Interesting, interesting. I'll have to pick your brain a little bit more about this after the call. But moving on to the next question. What role does the website play in terms of client acquisition or just getting conversions? Are there any major strengths or weaknesses to the website?
Yes. So we are trying to optimize conversion funnels for paid advertising. So that's sort of the biggest thing we're trying to solve. As a platform, when people search up our brand, maybe they've heard of our brand on TikTok, they search us up, they can see our website, and it works really fine. That's a really good buyer's journey. It's another thing when you're introducing paid traffic. And
Mhm.
so you have to think of that buyer's journey holistically and how that differs. For instance, a TikTok shop buyer's journey, maybe they see a video and then TikTok starts showing them a bunch of videos for that product and then they just hit buy all within the TikTok app. There's very little
Mhm.
friction. When you're bridging gaps between, hey, here's a paid piece of content, you have to get onto our own website. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, every time the app says, "Oh, now you are leaving TikTok," or "Now you are leaving this," or "Now you're leaving that," to actually go to the website,
Yes.
yeah, it does create a little bit of friction. I've been in those situations before, so I understand. And then speaking about the website a little bit more, we're always looking for pieces of advice from our guests about what makes a great converting website. Do you have any sort of tools or tips or methods or approaches that you might recommend?
Yeah, I've been doing marketing for a decade now, and the thing that just keeps getting reiterated to me is it doesn't matter how many marketing tutorials I've watched or case studies I've read, you really have to treat every offer as its own thing, as its own buyer's journey, and put yourself in the shoes of that customer. Like there's an actual person watching your ad, there's an actual person clicking onto the website or tapping onto the website. They're looking at it probably on a small mobile phone. And so just thinking from that journey first perspective, you can't have these elements all separately optimized. You can't have your ads optimized and your landing page optimized and your checkout optimized. You have to have the whole thing congruent from beginning to end, from soup to nuts, has to be a consistent buyer's journey and experience.
Well said, well said. It kind of the whole system has to work as one, right? You can't have any sort of a choppiness within the flow of the buyer's journey, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it
That's
makes sense
huge.
to us. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Snap supplements so far, but I want to focus a little bit more on Matt as the marketing professional. So moving over to some questions that are a little bit more about you. What are some tasks that you are typically focusing on in terms of like your day-to-day work?
A lot of it's right now is looking at ad performance in Meta, comparing that to our third-party attribution tool, and looking at how the website's performing. So it's a lot of guess and check. And so there's a lot of work in trying to close that reporting loop and sort of like you're reading all these things and you have to come up with a hypothesis. And then you test that new hypothesis and it's this loop and hopefully you're iterating toward a better converting experience. But there's nothing more humbling than checking Ads Manager and your latest hypothesis does not work. And you're like, wow, I just burnt some money. That's great.
Yeah, humbling for sure, but you're definitely one of the people that's reiterated that same message here on the show before. You know, marketing is always, you know, look at the reporting, try to understand what it's telling you, form a hypothesis, test out the hypothesis. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but at least every single time you go through this process, you should be getting a little bit and a little bit better, right?
Absolutely.
Would agree. Okay, next. I know that there's a lot of places out there where everyone's trying to kind of grow to try to go and grow, learn, get smarter, try to basically find the content that's going to help them improve their performance from a marketing perspective. Where do you go and what sort of content are you consuming in terms of trying to improve upon yourself?
Yeah, so I'm like 32 years old. There's a whole new generation of marketers out there. It ranges, 18, 19 to early 20s. And these are young people who have grown up in a different world than I did, than we did, with a tablet in their hands. These people have been on TikTok since the beginning 5 years ago, so really just checking my ego and learning from young people has been a huge thing for me. I'm in Discord servers about drop shipping. I'm on money Twitter reading these people. So and there's a lot of you got to separate the wheat from the chaff, but I've learned a lot about marketing. And what's cool is that you have this new layer, these new communication platforms like TikTok, but you still have the foundation of like Eugene Schwartz breakthrough advertising, a book written in the 60s. It's all the same. Back then it was newspapers and articles with direct response. You'd write in your name and your mailing address and ship it. Now it's just, you put in your name or email or you make a purchase. So it's all these same fundamentals, just with kind of a new medium.
It's really interesting. I think that's a really unique response. Most people on the show will say something along the lines of, you know, I watch a certain podcast every now and then. I read someone's blog or newsletters that go out, and people that they like to stay up to date with. But I think your response is really unique, saying, try to learn from the next generation. What are they doing? What have they kind of experienced, and how are
Yeah.
they kind of picking up? Because they're kind of the bridge between now and what's going to be happening next. So, yeah, I totally agree. Try to learn what the younger generation is doing.
And it's no mistake that in this company, the most successful division, the TikTok shop team, the oldest person there is like 25, so 24. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, the future is now. Okay, so I want to move into some more, how do I say, playful questions. We're getting towards
Sure.
the end of the conversation, and usually these are questions that are less focused on the business or you and more focused, just kind of, like I said, some more playful questions. So, I'll start things out with a nice easy one. What's the last book that you read?
The Bible, I'm really big on the Bible. And
Always a good one. Best-selling book of all time, from what I hear.
specifically, the parable of the talents, which is, I think, Matthew 25:14. Jesus is talking about a master giving servants units of currency to invest called a talent. And so the servants go out, one buries it, I think one doubles it, one triples it, something to that effect. The master comes back and scolds the one who buried it. And that's a really interesting lesson. So, like, we are all given different gifts and talents, whether that's skills, whether that's money. And the Lord really compels us to invest in those things and watch them grow. And so I keep that in mind. What gifts have I been given? Um, and how can I make that grow?
Yeah, don't hide it away. Use it. Make the most out of it.
Exactly.
Okay, next. If there were no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you would want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
I would want one live dashboard source of truth where I could visualize all my customers like as little dots, seeing the
Mm.
ad, then going to the website, seeing what they're up to, seeing how they go through the conversion, and kind of like seeing how these dots shake out and where they drop off, and knowing for sure this data is like 100% accurate.
That's a good one. Kind of like a live feed as to what's going on with all the different website visitors. That would be really interesting.
Like a little ant farm or something. That would be cool.
One of those ant farms where you have the glass wall and you can watch them kind of going through. That would be really good. Okay, next. If there was one repetitive task that you would want to automate, what would that be?
Ads management as a whole. I know that's my job here, but I think that what we're seeing is AI taking over that whole job. We've been seeing that in TikTok, we've seen that in Google Ads. So I'm excited for the day when all I have to do on Meta is just feed the machine creatives,
Mhm.
and then it can do it all better than any individual could.
Mm, that's a really good answer. I think we're maybe trending in that direction.
I think
So
so. I think we are.
okay, so we're moving on to the last question, and this is going to be: what is one piece of advice that you would want to give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
This is a tough one, but humble humble yourself before authority. You know, especially when I was younger, I had real trouble with authority. And sometimes it can be that your boss isn't great or you're in a situation that really is unjust. But there are always lessons to be learned there. And I think that if I just had a less rebellious attitude, it probably would have made my career and progress uh, even faster.
Mm, really wise words, wise words. So we're heading towards the end of the conversation. And before we wrap things up, I did just want to say, Matt, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah,
But I
thank
did want to
you.
give you this opportunity to kind of plug any other sort of opportunities or brands that you're putting out there at the moment. So in addition to Snap Supplements, what else do you have going on?
Yeah, check me out at matt.buzz. That's my portfolio website. Happy to answer any questions you may have about marketing. I'm open to collaborative opportunities, or if you just want to pick my brain, that's totally cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt. So we really appreciate having you on the show. Matt Akins, Snap Supplements, thank you very much for joining the show, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.